Wow, it's really cool concept of the arena, actually. I see one challenge: you have to iron your suit in front and in back, right? So I never do it, so I hope it's okay in the back. I'll try to rotate. Okay, guys, I wanted to talk to you about the difficult relationship between the rhinos and the rabbits. And before I introduce what the rabbit and what the rhino is, let me just briefly tell you about what I do and where I work. I'm the VP of Corporate Service at the Heart. The Heart is European Center for Corporate Startup Collaboration. So we operate in this beautiful building in Warsaw Spire in Warsaw, where we created a hub connecting these two worlds, connecting big corporations and startups. And actually, what we really do is we're connecting this really big organism, which I call the rhinos. You know the rhinos, they're like powerful, they're strong, they're big, and they just move around with the force. But usually the rhinos have the challenge that they sometimes do not see everything around them, and maybe they're not so agile as they could be. So we try to connect them with rabbits. And rabbits is the term that was invented last year by the CEO of CB Insights, and it's an acronym, as you can see, on the real actual businesses bringing innovative technology. So these are the rabbits, forget the unicorns, and let's focus on the rabbits, about the real technology that's brought by small startup companies. So let me just check who I'm talking to. So if you could raise your hand if you're a startup representative, okay. And then raise your hand if you're from corporation. Okay, and then raise your hand, the rest just for relaxation and some exercise. Okay, good. Okay, so we know where we are. Okay, so a bit of a numbers. Since the opening of the Heart, we matched around 1,000 startups with around hundreds of corporations. We have around 90 different corporations that operate somehow are related with the Heart, and they participate in our sessions, roundtables, demo days every month in the Heart. Already we measure that we've had around 20 pilot implementations from different areas of fintech, retail tech, implemented as a result of those meetings and corporations. We launched different programs, and every day at the Heart, every month, there are lots of different events on corporate startup collaboration. So stay tuned, and if you like to visit us sometimes in Warsaw, when you're in Warsaw, you feel welcome to do it. And based on that, I wanted to share with you some of the insight that we had so far, as we are trying to be this kind of a partner of both sides, trying to understand the both sides, the need of the both sides, the challenges they're facing, sometimes translating, to different languages. So I prepared for you just around 12 hints on what is needed really to have the right match and the good match with the corporations, or on the other hand, if you're a corporate representative with the startup. As we are in the startup arena, I focus mostly on the startups. So in terms of the startups, but it relates also to corporations, the key starting point is really defining what you need and keeping the real focus on what you really need as a startup from your partner on the other side, and as a corporation from the other side. It's important that you should be able to pick the partners that you need the most, and those who you feel they might need you the most. It's very important. When we, as a startup, have lots of experience as a startup, because we consider the Heart almost as a startup right now, because we've launched it 2 years ago, but I've been involved in many different businesses before. I know that very often when you start a new business and develop a new technology, it's just a paralysis of opportunities. So you get so many options. Everybody wants to talk to you and checks what you do, and you just go into one direction, then you go back, then go to another. So really, it's really difficult to keep the focus on what you're really trying to do. And this is actually very, very crucial and very important, to really find the partners that you need most, and do not waste time on meeting partners that might somewhere in the future need you, but not necessarily. The second important point, and this event is a great opportunity actually to meet these people, is, as you're a startup, is to start with contact persons that are paid to meet you. There are many, more and more companies are developing this innovation departments, are developing this special people who are responsible for meeting with startups. I'll be running a panel at the end of the session, and now you'll meet some of these guys. So it's important to really pick the ones that are paid to do so, because they have clear focus on bringing you on board to the corporation. Very often you will meet people who are just from some department, and you will spend a lot of time discussing with them what you do, and they will hear you, but will just go the other side because they are not trained, they're not used to understanding what you're actually doing. So it's very, very important. But see the point 9 later on. Okay, the third one is about doing your homework. I've been participating with many, many different situations where the startup was approaching corporations without any knowledge about what they're really doing, about the programs they launched, about the strategy, about the area they're developing. And this is extremely important at the very initial meeting, that you really know who you're talking to, what the person is about, what are these person goals, and where you can find the business in what areas, because it's a hot topic for the moment. Ensure that you have the homework done before you engage in any sort of meeting, because it's always the first impression that matters. 4th point is about being really clear about the benefits that you offer. And it's always a challenge if you ask a startup to explain what they do in 2 sentences or 3 sentences. And very often the startups tend to say, okay, we do that, but we do also that, and we can do whatever you need. So they're having this attitude, everything is possible, we do everything you want us to do. Be super clear about the focus, about the benefits, what you're bringing to the table. The startups, I've been watching different competitions, and oftentimes the startups who win the competitions of like these are the ones who can sell their concept really in 45 seconds. It's not even 3 minutes. It's about selling their concept in 45 seconds. So really rethink your value proposition, whether you fit the model, and you can clearly explain what you do. Because ultimately, there are 2 options. You just have 2 options what you can do to a corporation. One is adding wow to them by giving them something new, something great, or eliminating ow, right? So it's about reducing the pains, reducing the barriers, blockages, problems, challenges they're facing in their processes that are pain in the ass, or adding some wow element to their offering. So think about it, where you are. Are you in the reducing our business or increasing wow business? It's good to know. Okay, KPIs. I mean, this is really interesting, because I've been hearing this all the time from startups. I mean, I talk to the guys from corporations, and they constantly asking about the KPIs. What are these magic KPIs? What they do? And this is a really important lesson, and part of your homework is to understand, when you meet the person in front of you, actually what are the potential KPIs, so measurable success, key performance indicators you can improve for them. So if you think about this, eliminating ow or creating wow, also think in terms of the measurable impact. So it's not about, you'll be just fully wow from the moment on when we start the cooperation. You just have to think about how you can measure the impact. Is it reducing the time it takes to do some processes, right? Is it about increasing the number of customers by a number? It's about reducing the effort on the business side to do something. So always a KPI should have some direction, some clear direction, saying, with us, you can make things faster, quicker, more predictable, better, smoother, whatever you find relates best to what you do. But it's very, very important that you at least start talking in this area, because these guys on the other side of the table, they have their own KPIs, they have their own agenda, and if you find something and convince them that with your solution, their KPIs or their company KPIs will be improved, then it's a great starting point for establishing an operation, because you suddenly found the right language and the right match. So think about it. How do you define the KPIs of your business that you improve for the corporate client? Sixth number is about the behavior, because meeting corporations is a bit like a matchmaking, of course. It's like two parties meet, enter, and they are a bit shy, they do not yet know each other, and it's about the conversation, how you run it, and how you do it. And it's always good to look at the best practices in terms of what you do on the dates, actually. So it's like being honest about what you do, being honest if you do not know anything, do not know something about your corporate clients. It's about listening. It's very important about listening, because when we go to events like that, we are in this pitching mode, right? So we are expected really that we have this 3 minutes, and we have to catch the client, and we have to pitch, and we have, say everything like like a tornado, just running with words, flooding with words. Maybe something where he will catch up something interesting out of it. But when you have more time for a meeting, like 20 minutes, like there's a matching session, there's one-on-one, it's good to relax a bit and take this kind of a listening mode, because you never know what is the agenda on the other side. And if you start selling at the beginning, you might miss a very important insight about the person. You might not learn, as I said before, about the KPIs that the person is having. You might not learn about the recent solutions that they tried and tested. And maybe they're just talking to a similar company as yours. So maybe you can readjust your value proposition, because if you know that they talk to the company or startup B, and you know what makes you better than them, you can readjust it by knowing that they just talk to them, right? So it's important that you listen a lot. You have to be this kind of a researcher a bit, to listen to the guys and really draw the important conclusion, and then be ready with the answers that relate to what you heard. And it's important that you really not talk that much and spend time trying to figure out what is the core need, what are the pains that they're having right now, and whether your technology can readjust, reduce the pains, or make them more successful in what they do. So listen first, talk second is one of the key components, and I've observed this quite a lot, and it really works. Also, in many times, you won't be ready with some answer, and very often, because the clients, they know, very often you underestimate how much they know about the technology, because very often you may think, yeah, we're in breakthrough technology, and they're just big old bank, right? So what do they really know about fintech? And you might assume that they know little. But it happens from time to time, and as we see also members of our corporate club, we've been working with corporations for three years, developing their competences, internal competences. We've learned that many of them are getting more and more skilled in the technology and knowing what was out there. They also travel around. So if you're a local startup, you might not know, they just went to somewhere, to the conference in LA and just meet 10 different startups from the region. So it's becoming more and more, on the one hand, it's becoming more and more difficult for the banks, for the startups to reach the banks, because they're more skilled, and it's hard to sell them some, high level, as we call it, high level bullshit sometimes. But on the other hand, it's easier because they're more skilled, and they have better background of integrating you, because they're changing internal processes, and they're better at it. So if you do not know something, just ask for advice and try to take this position of being the one who also wants to learn and take something out of the discussion, not just convince the guy that your technology is the best. Okay, one important thing is the preparation for antibodies. We call ourselves the heart, because the idea was that we are bringing these new hearts, this new heart, transplanting these new hearts, new startups to the big corporations that maybe not that agile, but very often if you start getting injected into corporate bloodstream, you may often find that suddenly from all over the place there are many, many antibodies who come to fight you as a virus. That's how the big guys work. I mean, there are lots of different departments who want to keep the status quo. So they want to just fight you because they feel it's like it's not a future development opportunity, but it's a virus that may do some damage to the core business. So it's important that you have to prepare for that, and very often you learn that there are some departments, I don't want to name the departments, but there are a couple of the departments, and you may hear in the conversation, that may happen to be antibodies very often. Or may consider, we can do everything inside. We don't want to do it outside. We have the power, we have the capacity to do everything inside. It's very often that you may hear that in the conversation. So prepare that there are many antibodies on the way to success. Remember point 2? Anybody? What was the point 2 about? Okay. The point 2 about was that you should meet the people who are paid for to meet you, right? But sometimes it's the case that that they may also become gatekeepers, because sometimes they are a bit distant from the business. And there might be a business owner who doesn't know you because he doesn't have a good relation with the, innovation department, or maybe they didn't have a chance to talk and the innovation department does not know what his current goals are. And very often you may find, that you're stuck talking to the guys who are supposed to talk to startups, but they don't feel any applications for you right now because they did not talk to the right guy in some department. So very often, if you do your homework, is about to really prepare who you really want to meet in the company. Which department, which position might be the most interested in your solution. And then when you talk to the guys who are from innovation department, you can ask them by saying, could you arrange a meeting with the head of digital service or something? So you should also not rely fully on the guys in the front, but you should also try to look, some relations with the guys who are more in the back. Okay, don't not let go too quickly. It's also important. I know many situations, and I know many startups also that we talk to that are at the edge of finishing what they're doing and trying to look for something else. Of course, there is some moment when you really have to do it and decide because you cannot keep it anymore. But I've seen many situations that the startup waited 1, 2, 3 more months, and suddenly it came. And it was also my situation in 2005 when I started my first company with Tomek Rudolf, who is still my partner at the heart. And there was a moment after 8 months of being on the market when we sat down in a cafe and asked, okay, so what do we do? Do we keep it? Or do we do just separate ways and go somewhere? And we said, yeah, let's wait 1 or 2 months. And the next month we got the first 1, 2, or 3 deals at the same time, actually, that we waited for since the beginning of the company. So sometimes you really, I know it's hard to find the right moment, but be persistent and really wait. Maybe there isn't still one step ahead. There is a good opportunity to really launch your business and start. Okay, diversify your risk. I know many startups that were stuck in a very specific business with the client who was promising them to do a project, and they spent 6 months putting full effort, full resources on that very specific project without seeing the other opportunities on the market, and just wasting a bit time because it took them 8 months and suddenly they came out with nothing. So it's important when you build your business, it's really important to really diversify your risk and at least try to find 3, 4 different clients that you talk to at the same time simultaneously. Because even if the one fails, there's a higher chance that at least one of these will be a good match. I know that you're really good as startups doing that, but it's quite important to never forget about it. Okay, let's assume it works and you really get a good match and start a cooperation. Very often, I know many solutions that found ourselves in this roller coaster because suddenly the big client demands them to really grow scale, to grow services, to provide the right level of support and service level agreement, and they weren't ready because they were just a couple of guys with the technology. So so find a moment to think about it when you're really convinced that you are going to get this deal, and really to start building the scale, because without that, you just the first pilot won't go well because you won't be ready to do full scale support of the solution. So to finalize, all these 12 I think were quite important, but there is a saying that we have at the heart. Actually, this is the heart. We have our first unicorn in Warsaw in the heart, as you can see. To go fast, go alone, but to go far, go together. So we believe strongly that it's in the corporation, it's collaboration with big ones, it's that you can really grow scale and have success. Thank you very much.